Hello students, welcome to my class of Investment Analysis and Portfolio Management. I am Punjika Rathi, Assistant Professor, IMS Engineering College, Ghaziabad. We will be talking about the capital asset pricing model, which is called as CAPM model, which is very important work which has been used by the investors or the portfolio managers for pricing the securities and the portfolios. This work is based on the capital market theorem. Capital market theorem is basically the extension of the work which was given by Harry Markowitz. Harry Markowitz has given a very important portfolio selection model. According to Harry Markowitz, there are various securities in the market, and if they are combined in different combination and different proportions, we will get a large number of the portfolios, and if we analyze these portfolios on the basis of their risk and returns, so there are some portfolios which are dominating portfolios as compared to others. So, if these dominating portfolios are those which are better portfolios, which are giving better returns and which are having less risk. So, these efficient portfolios, these are called as efficient portfolios as per Markowitz. So, Markowitz has said that all the efficient portfolios for the investor, they would lie on a concave shape line. This line is called as the efficient portfolio, denoted by EF. So, Markowitz has said that all the efficient portfolios, they lie on a concave line, but this capital market theory has suggested us that if the investors behave in this manner, if they do what CAPM model has analyzed or has provided, so the efficient frontier can be it can also be modified, it can be updated, and it can provide them better portfolios as compared to these portfolios which are lying on this line EF. So, this is the work which is given by the capital asset pricing model, which is the extension of the basic model given by Harry Markowitz. What is CAPM? CAPM, the full form is capital asset pricing model. This model was developed in 1960s by three researchers, William Sharpe, John Lintner and Jan Mossine, and they work independently, but their work has been combined as CAPM. This model describes the relationship between the expected return and risk of the individual securities as well as portfolios in the capital market. So, according to the CAPM, the relevant risk which is there in the market for the portfolios is the systematic risk only. This model has given the linear relationship between the expected return and the systematic risk of the securities as well as the portfolios. But this work is based on some assumptions. They have assumed that there exist some situations in the capital market under this model would work. According to the assumptions, the securities are infinitely divisible. It means that one can buy any amount of security, they can be divided, means securities can be further divided, any part, any fraction of the securities can be purchased or sold by the investors. The second assumption is that investors compare two things, risk and return of the securities, which every rational investor do. They can borrow or lend any amount of money, it means, and that too at a risk free rate of return. It means there is some risk free rate of return. If we say risk free, it means risk is 0. So, this is the minimum return which our investor is expecting if he is not taking any risk, and they can borrow any amount of money, as well as they can lend any amount of money at this risk free rate of return. Another assumption is that there were no transaction cost. If we say transaction cost are the charges, fees or commission which we have to pay when we purchase the security. So, whenever we are buying or selling some assets in the market, we have to, every time we have to pay some fees or commissions to the brokers or the sub brokers. So, it was assumed that there was no transaction cost. So, it means they can buy, they can sell any number of times because there is no transaction cost. Here it was assumed that there was no personal income tax. It means since if we see in the real market, when we buy and sell the securities, we have to pay income tax, we have to pay the taxes, but it was assumed that there was no tax which has to be paid. So, investor was indifferent between the choice of the manner of the return. The return can be in the form of dividend or it can be in the form of the interest. He becomes indifferent to both the things. Then it was assumed that there was a perfect competition. When we say perfect competition means that no single investor, no single buyer, no single seller can change the price of the security. It means the prices of the securities are determined by the demand and the supply forces. Then it was assumed that they can sell short any amount of security, means they do not have the ownership of the security, but still they can sell. They can sell any amount which they do not have, any amount of the security, in spite of the fact they do not have the ownership, and they share the homogeneity of the expectations. It means that all the investors in the market, they have similar kind of expectations from the investment avenues, from the assets or the securities. It means they want the maximum return and they want to have the minimum risk. Coming to the fundamentals of the capital asset pricing model. This capital asset pricing model, as I have earlier said, that the shape of the efficient frontier has been changed, or it is the extension of the work of the Harry Markowitz, and Harry Markowitz has said that the efficient frontier is a concave shaped line. This AC line is a efficient frontier which is having all the portfolios in the market. So, what they have done, the work which was done by the researchers and the CAPM model, they said that the investor can form better portfolios, they can form better portfolios which would lie not only on this, not on this efficient frontier, but they would lie, because it was a efficient frontier as per the Markowitz, which we were saying efficient frontier as per the Harry Markowitz. But this model has said that if they do riskless lending and riskless borrowing, so their efficient frontier would now change from this concave line to a straight line. How it would change? Let us assume that there is a B security in the market, there is a B security in the market which is giving, this is the return and this is the riskness. If there is a B security in the market which is giving a return of 15% and it is having a risk of 8%, total risk is 8%, and there is a risk free security in the market, I am denoting it by RF, this risk free security in the market, or it is a government security which is giving a return of 7% and the riskiness is 0%. So, here the here it is being assumed that if an investor is, suppose he is having some money and he invests some of his money in B asset or B portfolio, or some of his money in this security which is giving a risk free rate of return. So, now he would get a, he would form a combined portfolio, this is denoted by RC. Now, this RC is a combined portfolio which is having some investment in the risk free security and some having in this B portfolio or security. So, this is equals to, this total return would be equals to omega into RB, RB is the return on security B, plus 1 minus omega into RF. So, the return of combined portfolio would be, omega is, if we have assumed that he is investing 60% in portfolio B and 40% in risk free security. So, what he is doing? He is lending his money, he is investing his money in risk free security. So, the answer would be 0.60 into 15 plus 0.40 into 7. So, the answer would be 9 plus 2.8 equals to 11.8. to 11.8%. And if we calculate the risk, so that risk would be denoted by standard deviation of the combined portfolio, and it will be equals to omega into sigma b is the total risk of portfolio B plus 1 minus omega into sigma f. Since it is a risk free security, that component will become 0 and this value would be equals to 0.6 into what was the sigma 8. So, the riskiness would be equals to 4.8. It means, so what we have analyzed? We have analyzed when the investor has invested some of his money in some risk free security. So, that combination, if we denote it on this line, because some of his money is being invested in risk free security. Suppose it is denoted by O. O is the combined portfolio and it is having risk and return lower than the portfolio B. So, all the combinations would lie on this line, and now this line, if we see on this graph, there is the risk and there is a return. So, if we compare every point, if we compare this point to this point and denote this point by suppose T. So, this T portfolio is having same risk, but who is having better return? O is having better return. So, we will say now the efficient portfolio is O, not T. It means this line would be having better portfolios as compared to this previous concave shape line. So, because of the riskless lending, now the efficient frontier has been changed to a straight line which is having combination of risk free security. Let us move to the further part. Further he has said, these researchers they have said that if investor is borrowing at riskless rate or he is borrowing the money from the market at the risk free rate of return and then he is investing his money in risky portfolio. So, again he is having some money and he is borrowing some extra money. It means how much money he is borrowing, denoted by, if his total money is omega. So, how much money he has borrowed, that is denoted by omega minus 1. So, if he is investing total 1.5 proportion in the risky security and 0.25 he has borrowed from the market. So, earlier it was having 15% return and 8% riskiness, but when he is doing so, his portfolio would be giving him 17% return and his riskiness would be 10%. So, this line would be having portfolios which are having more return and more riskiness. So, if we compare this line as compared to this, so every point, if we do analysis, we find that this point on this straight line would be giving us better portfolio as compared to every point on this concave line. So, it was suggested that this efficient frontier, the shape of efficient frontier is now a straight line which is indicated by this line having risk free lending and risk free borrowing. This is the line indicating risk free lending, RF, risk free lending and risk free borrowing. So, now we have a new efficient frontier as suggested by CAPM model, and this new efficient frontier is now a straight line which is having all the feasible set of portfolios which were earlier lying on the concave shape. So, now the shape has been converted into a straight line, and this straight line is also called as CML, capital market line in this model, which is very important work, prominent work, because many a times it is being asked, can we convert the concave shape of efficient frontier into straight line? If so, how? Suggest the mechanism for the investor. It is asked in the exam that how the efficient frontier can be converted into a straight line. So, this is how it can be converted by risk free lending at risk free rate and borrowing at the risk free rate. as we have derived a new efficient frontier, so now this new efficient frontier is called as capital market line. So, this capital market line is having total risk on the x axis and this return on the y axis. This sigma is okay. Here one should remember this thing, that whenever we are calculating risk, risk has two component, risk is having two component total risk, one is systematic risk and second is unsystematic risk. So, when we calculate total risk of the security or asset or portfolio, the total risk is calculated by sigma, but the systematic risk is always indicated by the beta. This we have to remember. Why? Because there are use of this riskiness. So, this capital market line is giving the relationship of expected return, because if we see on every point there is a relationship of return and total risk. So, what CML is indicating? CML is indicating the return, the expected return for every portfolio which is lying on this line. If we recall, what kind of portfolios were lying on this line? They were only the efficient portfolio. So, this if we remember this thing, so this CML is indicating the relationship of expected return of only the efficient portfolios or securities in the market with respect to the total risk, and it can be indicated in the form of a equation. If we analyze what is the equation, so this is the return of the efficient portfolio. If we see on this chart, so if we want to find out that what is the return of a portfolio which is formed on this line E. So, if we want to calculate this return of this portfolio E, so we can calculate it by the formula RE is equals to RF plus RM minus RF divided by sigma M up into sigma E. Now, what does these symbols mean? RF is the risk free rate of return, RM is the return on market index or market portfolio. Now, what is a market portfolio? Market portfolio is that portfolio which is having securities, which is having all the securities present in the market. It means this portfolio is a well diversified portfolio. It means this portfolio would have beta is equals to 1. 1 means this is a systematic risk equals to 1. So, it is having all the securities in the market, that is why it is called as market portfolio, and when we calculate the return on this portfolio, it is indicated by RM, return on the market index or market portfolio. Sigma E is the risk of the efficient portfolio. So, how the relationship is derived? Relationship is the expected return is equals to price of the time, or it is the reward which investor wants for waiting, because if suppose he is investing his money in risk free security, he must have received some lowest rate of return. That lowest rate of return is called as the reward for waiting or price of time. And then since he is assuming some risk in the market, so he want that according to this risk I should get some return. So, this is the price of risk, this is the price of risk, and this is the amount of risk. So, how the relationship is derived? Return is equals to reward plus price of risk into amount of risk. So, this is the sigma E is the amount of risk. But then there is a debate that if we are saying it is a market portfolio, it is having all the securities in the market. So, it means it is a very well diversified portfolio, and we know what is the meaning of diversification. Diversification means when we add on the securities, if we take number of securities on this axis and there is a return. So, if we add on the securities in the portfolio, so the total risk would be decreasing as we increase the number of securities. What does it mean? There is a saying that never put your all the eggs in one basket. Why? Because there would be damages, all the eggs would be lost. So, if we keep them in different baskets, so what will happen? Some would be safer and some we will lose. So, if there are losses in the market, we will gain on some other security. So, we should diversify, we should invest our money not only in one security, we should invest in number of securities. We should invest in bank deposits, we should purchase mutual fund, we should go for insurance policies, we should purchase shares, we should purchase debentures, we should purchase shares of pharma company, FMCG, we should purchase IT company shares, so that the portfolio should be diversified. And if we are saying portfolio is diversified, so its total risk would be means if it is well diversified, so its total risk would be having only the systematic risk, and when it is having only systematic risk, so the risk, the return should be according to the systematic risk only, not equal to the total risk. So, that is why here it was analyzed that the sigma should be replaced by the beta, and when we do so, that capital market line would be replaced by the security market line, and this security market line shows the relationship between expected return and systematic risk of a security or portfolio, whether it is efficient or not. So, let us see how it is, how the relationship is. This relationship is depicted on this chart. There is the systematic risk which is denoted by beta. There is the return of any security or portfolio. So, if we are saying, if we are taking a market, if this AM, this is a market portfolio M, and we are saying it is a very well diversified portfolio. So, how much its beta would be? It would be equals to 1. So, here the beta is equals to 1, and if the investor has combined the portfolio by some risk free security. So, we have joined this line is called as the SML or security market line, and any security would be having this relationship whether it is efficient or not. And what is the relationship? It is equals to RF. RF is the reward for waiting, and it is the amount of risk, and it is the price of risk for any security. And if we want to calculate for portfolio, so then the return of portfolio would be equals to reward for waiting, amount of risk in the portfolio, and the price of the risk. And if we want to calculate what is the amount of risk in the portfolio, so beta p is equals to summation of I goes from 1 to n, summation of omega I into beta I, where beta I is the systematic risk of every individual security which we have combined in this market portfolio. So, how this model is being used in reality, since we have discussed all the derivations, but now this is the part which actually is being used by the investment managers or the portfolio managers. So, this part is being used in reality. How it is used? That CAPM model is used. It is also called as a pricing model. CAPM is also used to find out which securities are overpriced in the market and which are underpriced in the market, which portfolios are overpriced and which are underpriced. So, that is why this CAPM model would be used to find out whether we should buy or we should sell, because when we have to develop a portfolio, we would have to buy some security and we would have to sell some security, and this the basis of this decision buying and selling would be on the basis of analyzing or comparing some prices of the security. So, for taking these decisions, what we do? We use the CAPM model. Okay, how we do this? First, we calculate the expected return as per CAPM model. It means the equation which we have discussed earlier, we calculate the expected return as per that equation, and that return is called as the expected return. Then we calculate the estimated return of the security as per the means this estimated return can also be called as the actual return which has been provided by the portfolio or the security. For example, there is a security which we have purchased at some price P naught and we have sold it at price P 1, and this is the dividend which we have received on the security. So, how much return we have generated by the security? P 1 minus P naught plus dividend divided by P naught. P naught is the original price. For example, if I have purchased a share at 100 rupees and I have received 10 rupees as dividend, and then I have sold it at rupees 110, then how the actual return would be calculated? By taking a difference of both the prices. It means 110 minus 100 means 10 rupees is it's a gain on selling, and 10 rupees I have gained as a dividend. So, 20 rupees divided by 10 into 100 would be my actual return on the security, and then I have already calculated the expected return as per CAPM. Now, one has to remember this rule. This is a very important rule which is being used. An exam may we have numericals, case studies on the basis of CAPM model. So, what we have to do? We have to compare the expected return with the estimated return. Expected means CAPM model के according how much the return should be, and estimated means how much the return has actually been provided by the security. And if we compare these two things, we will find out whether it is underpriced or it is overpriced or it is correctly priced. So, if some security has provided us less returns, greater returns, it has provided us better returns as compared to its expected return. So, let us see on the it on the CAPM line. So, this is the line. So, these are the returns which it should provide as per CAPM model, but in actual उसने हमें provide किया return A, it has provided us इतना return. It means this security is better to buy because actual में it is giving us more return. So, this is called as, this will be called as overpriced, and I should underpriced. This will be called as underpriced. It means I should buy it. This is underpriced, and if it is giving us less return as compared to its actual, so means it is giving us lower return. So, it is called as overpriced, means it is not performing well. So, we should sell that security. Underpriced we should buy, overpriced we should sell. This is the rule for investment, that every time we should buy the underpriced security and we should sell the overpriced security. So, then we can take a decision of selling, or if it is giving a equal return, like the estimated return is equals to the expected return, means whatever is being expected from the security, it is giving the same return. It means the security is correctly priced, neither it is underpriced nor it is overpriced, it is called as correctly priced. But this is like, it is not possible that we can find a security which is correctly priced in the market, because of the demand and the supply forces, people are buying and selling in the secondary market. So, this particular rule is being used for taking investment decisions, and this is the implication of this model, CAPM model, and this is how this model is being used in reality. This is the one of the advantage of this model, why it is being used by the investment managers. So, if I ask you what are the advantages? One, it is very simple to use, because you can put the values in the equation and you can compare and find out whether we should buy or sell. So, this is very simple to apply, and second, it is good for real investment decisions, because the assumptions are generally based on the real market situations. So, this is all about this particular topic, CAPM. We will meet soon in the next lecture. Thank you.